Buckle up because you are listening and watching Musicians and Beyond, where we bring in the backstage info on the life, lyrics, and long journeys of the music industry. Last week, we had Crystal King as our guest, and she's doing some incredible things with her music and writing and so forth. At the age of 3 years old, she heard Alan Jackson, and then it was all uphill from there. She fell in love with music, and now she's touring all over the country and doing some great things. She plays a lot of the iconic venues in Nashville, the Bluebird, the Tootsie's, and the Listening Room. And not only that, but you might know her voice when you listen to Sirius XM Radio. She's the DJ on the weekends for Radio Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett, one of my favorites. And another guy that's, quickly earned his way right into my heart with his music is today's guest, Justin Federico. Justin, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Dude, I heard you warming up earlier, just some incredible stuff.
Thank you. Working on it.
You're working on it. How long have you been doing this for?
So full-time gigging musician, going on my third year, second full-time year. I've been playing some instrument or another since I was 7, 8 years old. Wow. So, been a while. Work in progress.
When you say you're out and about playing, like last year, it was about 250 shows. That's almost a show a day. You had a few days off here and there.
I shot for 250. Fell just shy, but...
You're a slacker.
Trying to stay busy. Trying to, like you said, just earn a reputation of being a hard worker and not leaving any doubt.
Yeah. So we have a couple of mutual friends, Francois Samard and Drew Mulholland, and they both highly recommended you. So, through those guys is how we got together, and it's great that we were able to come in studio, and you're going to play some songs for us later on and tell us the stories behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love both those guys. Francois especially, I don't know what I owe him, but I definitely owe him. He helped me to get my foot sort of in the door with a number of places. And, long before what's now turned into close to 450 dates since I've started. But, he's been instrumental. Without even knowing it, he's been instrumental in getting me going.
Yeah, that's good. He's very, very influential in the industry. And he knows what he's looking for. So it's kudos to you for him finding you because, he found a
glad I was in the right place at the right time.
Absolutely. That's what it is. A lot of this music industry stuff is that.
Yeah.
The people that you come across, you were talking earlier, and that was something that I instantly liked about you, is you were talking about all these other artists and a lot of our previous guests, and you didn't have one negative thing to say about any of them. You complimented them and were saying, how good this one is, and you like the way this one does that. It's a great attribute that you have.
I think it's easy to be really critical. It's easy to be really critical of other people and what they do, and it's easy to be negative, and I try more so now, more than ever, and I think through being able to play music full time and really realize what has been a dream for me to just play music, earn a living, and help to keep a roof over my head and food on the table is, I don't know, I owe it to myself and everyone who's connected to me to try to be more positive and to look for the positive and not be negative, because everyone's on a different path, and it's easy to get negative. It's easy to get jealous, and you just can't let that in. You gotta. So
well, that's a great trait to have, because in the music industry, as you know, it's probably very easy to get soured and get negative, because you ask for a lot of things or you try for a lot of things, and a lot of the times that door, boom, gets closed right in your face.
Yeah.
So what do? You just take that closed door and go to the next one, and hopefully something bigger and better is behind door number 3.
You got to pick up the guitar case and just keep walking.
Excellent.
And keep pushing.
So let's reverse the time a little bit. You had said that you've been playing an instrument since you were a little kid. Has it always been the guitar?
So yes and no. So it started with a guitar. I got my first guitar when I was about 7, 8 from my grandfather, and played for a year that guitar. I didn't take really good care of it. Had to have a neck reset, and so I didn't play for a while until I got another guitar. And he always tried to get me into taking lessons, and which the more I look at it now, it was probably more of a way to spend time with him than it was to take lessons. I sort of find myself trying to do that with my nephew. So it was a way to spend time with my grandfather. As I got older and Christmases became better, I got into a drum set, and that became sort of my primary home for a long time. Got into the local country music scene behind a drum kit with a group of friends. And so it's been, fork in the road here, fork in the road there. I've played some bass, and then I worked my way back into playing guitar.
Yeah. And what made you go back the route of the guitar? Just that it was easier to carry instead of a whole drum kit?
That was a large part of it. No, I mean, I think obviously during the lockdown period of all of our lives, I spent a lot of time at home, and we had just sold a house. My wife and I were living with my in-laws for a little while, and the drums really didn't have a place to be set up or to make that kind of noise in the house. So I started playing guitar a little bit more, and it just, the way things were, professionally and just in the world at that moment, I said, you know what, I really don't want to work for anybody else anymore. I want to go play music. And my wife, very much to her credit, kind of gave me a healthy boot in the behind and said, don't talk about it. If you want to do it, start booking dates, start playing. And so, like I said earlier, almost 450 dates, give or take, later. And I'm doing it full time. So, yeah, she's in the same boat with Francois and Drew and a lot of other people, really giving me that helpful and quite forceful nudge forward.
Oh, that's good. Not that you need it, but it's awesome to have someone in your family or your whole family supporting your venture, because you gave up your day job and you are doing this full time. You're putting all the eggs in one basket.
For sure.
and going for it. And your wife, you had talked earlier, she's one of your biggest supporters. She's the parrot on your shoulder.
For sure. She's definitely, even at times when I don't necessarily want it, she's very much always looking out for me, always has my back, and is what generally turns out to be great advice is what she's, usually whispering or yelling into my ear.
Well, that's great stuff. That's great stuff. So she knows what she's talking about.
I think, her track record's been pretty good.
That's good. And you did say earlier that your wife's going to kill you if we talk about her. But
yeah, I'm on a very strict, even talking about it in this context, I'm on a very strict mandate by the boss lady.
Okay.
No, she's awesome.
No, that's great. You talked very highly about her, and it's awesome that she's there to support you. So now that you're on this road of being a full-time musician, you are literally on the road now, like as a musician.
Where
do you think you're going to be in a couple of years? Like, what's your end goal?
Well, so the goal probably has to be refined quite a bit. I keep a running, like, a list of notes in my phone, and I have the yearly goal, the 2-year, 3-year, 5-year, and it's constantly changing because certain things are happening that I didn't think would be happening yet or aren't happening yet. So I'm refining it, but I'd really like to see a schedule where I'm on the road a little bit more. Maybe play fewer dates, but play more meaningful dates and play places where I'm playing for people that are receiving the music differently. They're there for the music and not just, the scene I'm in now. It's very much, it's a collaboration with restaurants or bars or, private businesses to entertain their people, keep people in the seats, eating, drinking and having a good time, as opposed to the other side of it, which is just purely the art. So I'd like to shift more into paying more attention to writing quality songs, and then trying to whatever I can do to bring those songs to the people that want to hear them.
Excellent. Right now, you're playing the New England music scene. And New England's got a pretty damn good country music scene, but there are bigger country music scenes out there. What is something that you think you'd like to do that way if you were to?
Yeah, absolutely. There definitely are. So I'm fortunate to have a number of friends that are down in Nashville, and there is, I don't know if I would say a calling per se, but there is a ring in my ear that, maybe that's where we should be. So I will be, by the time this is aired, I'm sure I'll be in Nashville. I'm going to take a few days to scope out the situation and visit a few friends, establish some relationships while I'm down there if I can, and just sort of get the lay of the land. I'd like to work out a situation where I can be back down there every several weeks and work into playing some of the important places that you'd want to be playing to make the relationships that you need to make and play to the people that you need to play to. So yeah, for sure. Nashville is definitely the pin in the map at the moment. And so that's in the immediate future. That's the direction I'm
Excellent. That's a good
looking.
way to go. Have you been down there before? Or is this your first?
This is my first
This
trip.
is your first time?
Yeah.
Wow. It's a good time. And I will say you're going to fit right in because
I hope so,
every
yeah.
corner and, there's restaurant bars that are, 3 levels.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them has a musician of your level. Excellent musicians everywhere. So one's better than the other. One side of it is probably scary to you because you're going, oh shit, there's a lot of competition here. But then on the other side, you're going, well, if that guy can do it, I can do it. And you're learning and picking up and kind of molding yourself into a better musician because, as you know, no matter how good of a musician you are, there's still always room to grow.
Yeah, and it's as we were talking a little bit earlier off camera, it's one of those things where it's a deck of cards. Everybody is different. There's different sounds. There's, ability level plays a role, but in some instances, ability level doesn't matter as much. If somebody writes a great song or if they perform a song a certain way, they could be a virtuoso on their instrument, but they don't necessarily have to be. So part of that trip or part of this trip that I'm going to be taking is really to put the bug in my own head that like, hey, there are people down here that are more talented than you, but their art is different than your art. Correct. So,
And
convincing myself.
the attitude is going to be a big part of it. Francois gave you a little a little tidbit the other night, but he had told you to ask me the story.
Yes.
And I had asked one of our guests, Paul Bielatovich from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I said, Paul, what advice would you give an up-and-coming musician? And he looked at me, he goes, John, he goes, simple, don't be a dick. And it's simple, but he's right because, you don't know who you're coming across. You don't know. Yeah. So if you're nice to everybody and appreciative, they're going to do the same for you. So that's good piece of advice. Don't be a dick.
I've definitely had my fair share of moments where I wish I could take back some things I've said, not knowing who's related to who and
Yeah.
innocent stuff, but still it's,
Yeah.
oh, I wish I hadn't said that to your best friend or your spouse or your brother. And it's like, oh man, what have I done?
Live and learn. Now, before you say anything, you just
Yeah.
think of that parrot, your wife on
That's
your
right.
shoulder going, don't say that.
Don't say anything negative.
So I want to talk about your songwriting.
Sure.
But first, let's hear one of your songs. Let's hear Pour Some Beer on It.
Sure thing.
And then we're going to talk about how you came up with the lyrics for that.
Sure thing.
Here is Justin Federico with Pour Some Beer on It.
Now I know not everybody grew up the way we did. We were so much tougher back then than all of these young kids. You say things are feeling heavy, got too much on your plate. Night out with them good old boys, that's all that it should take. Pour some beer on it, wash your blues away. 6-pack sunset country songs to put you in a better place. Brother, you don't need a doctor, and you don't need no pills. When nothing else is working, and night out with all them fellas will pour some beer on it. Pour some beer on it. Now you got you a heartbreak, your girl packed up and leave. Don't know what you're gonna do, my friend, just take it from me. Pour some beer on it and wash your blues away. 6-pack sunset country songs should put you in a better place. No, brother, you don't need a doctor, and you don't need no pills. When nothing else is working, and night out with all them fellas, well, pour some beer on it. Whoa, pour some beer on it. No matter what the problem, we can work it out. There ain't no use in crying, now we got something to drink about. Pour some beer on it. Whoa, pour some beer on it. And wash your blues away, yeah.
Good tune. Little alcohol-related song there. Seems like a lot of country songs have the alcohol backbone.
It's so relatable.
The pickup truck, the girlfriend leaving you, the dog.
Well, unfortunately, not everyone has a dog. I think that should change. Everyone should have a dog. But not everyone has a truck. Not everyone drinks, but it's relatable. It takes you to a place. It's something that everybody, almost everybody can, beer and love. Love is pretty central.
Right. So you write the songs all by yourself?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, I've had folks that I've collaborated with. Pour Some Beer on It is actually a song that if I recall correctly, when we wrote it, this is probably like 4 weeks ago now, I went into the studio with Chris Paquette of No Boundaries Studios. Thanks, Chris. Who has actually worked a whole bunch with Ben Durand, Chris Shelby, another local guy, I believe Whitney Doucette, Mariah Rose. Wow. So a number of people that you're probably familiar with or you may encounter in the near future. And it just kind of came together. I had some words, we, did some things, and before we knew it, we had within one day, all of the instrumentation, everything done, and we sent out for a fiddle But that was pretty much it, just to put the finishing touches. So yeah.
So as someone that's fairly new to the music scene, that must be very exciting to, sit there and go, oh, I have this idea, and then at the end of the day, you have this full-blown song, and you're like, holy shit, I wrote that. Did I write that?
I can't speak from experience with children, but the only thing that I could maybe compare it to would be, if you have a child or children, and whenever you have that moment where you kind of like take a step back and you look objectively at what you've got going on, and you look at your spouse and you say, hey, we did that. That's a result of our work, our relationship, whatever. And that's writing a song by yourself versus writing a song with somebody else in a totally non-romantic way. It's like you're creating a child. It's this work of art, this strangely special thing that you feel a certain way about it that you might not be able to put into words, and it the song has a life of its own kind of thing. So
Yeah, it's a very intimate process, I would think.
it is painstaking, exciting, boring, hard, like there's so many, the process can be excruciating, but then when you're done, you have moments where you're like, wow, we did that. That's cool. That's cool.
And then there's probably other days that you've experienced that you've walked in and then walked out and said, shit, we got nothing done. Absolutely nothing clicked.
There are probably more of those. There are more of those times, more of those days or nights that, you're paying the piper. You're swimming through crud to get to the good stuff.
And you get there. So we are talking with Justin Federico. How do people find out where you're going to be playing?
So I do post everything on my Facebook page, also on Instagram, updating daily. I'll post the full month in advance. Any sort of special events, I'll have information out there. We'll blast out messages and things of that nature. But just Justin Federico Music on Facebook. Same for Instagram, YouTube, and we might wade into the TikTok pool.
Yeah. And you're in the process of having a website made up, I understand.
Yes, that's going to be launched very soon. Tomorrow, we're going to put the finishing touches on some of those things, and it'll be off to the show.
Awesome. So how do our viewers and listeners get one of these sexy-ass Justin Federico T-shirts? And thank you for furnishing Mark and I with the swag, and we get some stickers and guitar
Absolutely.
picks and all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
How do they get that? They go to the show and check them out?
Yes. So for the moment, we're going to have a virtual store, which will be available through all of my social media and the website. But for the moment, I do have physical copies on hand at every gig I play at. Yep. Huge shout out to DJ's Custom Clothes in Wyndham, somebody who relationship from hockey many years ago. And then for any decals and things like that, I use my friend Ronnie Hayden of Hayden Graphics in Plastown, New Hampshire. Awesome, high quality stuff. Both are available anywhere you see me playing. Or if you shoot me a message, we can arrange to meet up. And
Yeah, you get some cool stickers. I like the logo. We actually talked about the logo earlier. There's
Yes.
a little story behind the logo.
Yeah, so growing up playing sports and just like being a kid and having toys and things that commingled with friends' toys and other teammates' equipment. My stepdad used to, the JF initial, and so I sort of co-opted that from him and turned it into my own version of that. And hopefully that'll be on telephone poles and drive-through windows and car windows near you very soon.
All over the world. Give them to all the high school kids.
Yeah, put them everywhere.
Tell them you'll give them 25 cents for every one they stick
It's
somewhere.
not my fault. Put them everywhere.
We're just kidding. That's funny. So we've been chatting, and we listened to one of your songs, and I'd like to see what song you would like to play us next, instead of
Sure.
me picking.
Yeah, definitely. We could do it. So, spoiler alert, it's another song about booze.
Oh, God. There seems to be a common denominator here.
So this song is actually called Drink Our Way Out of This. A song I wrote with a friend and producer, Sean Lichtenstein, with Rent 13 Studios. So I'll play that for you.
Excellent. This is Justin Federico with Drink Our Way Out of This.
Well, I got a way I do things when my back's against the wall. I don't stress myself out. In fact, I don't worry at all. I got myself a theory. It ain't too scientific, but my friends all agree it's pretty terrific. I say, let's drink our way out of this. Let's not lose our heads. We can have ourselves a good time instead. Oh, I don't have all the answers, but I'll grab a couple of beers. We can drink our way out of this. I said cheers. Like this one time in Tijuana, and I was sipping on margaritas, eating some guacamole, and hitting on them pretty senoritas. Well, I guess they had amores. They sure wanted to fight, but we were all amigos by the end of the night. 'Cause we said, let's drink our way out of this. Let's not lose our heads. We can have ourselves a good time instead. Oh, I don't have all the answers, but we'll grab a couple of beers. We can drink our way out of this. I said cheers. This ain't no time for thinking. Let's start over drinking and let's watch all of our problems disappear. In fact, somebody grab us another beer. Yeah, yeah, drink our way out of this. Let's not lose our heads. We'll have ourselves a damn good time instead. Oh, I don't have all the answers. Let's grab a round of beers. We can drink our way out of this. Yeah, we can drink our way out of this. I say cheers.
All right, Justin, that was a fun song. What happened there?
So that one, I wrote it with my pal Sean, and sort of the same thing. We went in with intentions of tracking a couple of specific songs, and I had sort of said to him, "Hey, I have this idea, and instead of when you have a problem come up, instead of getting stressed out and worried about it, just have a beer and just drink our way out of this." And I'll jump back. The idea sort of came up over cigars with a good friend of mine, Nate, who's a local photographer. And so I said, we had this idea. Let's write a song around it. And within a couple of hours, it wasn't planned. It just was, this is what we're working on today. And it just came together. And so, yeah.
Well, it's a great fun tune, but it really started out as a cigar song. And then completely turned a different way.
Yeah, well, it was over. We were smoking cigars, and she said, "Man, like, instead of people getting so worked up and like fighting and fighting in wars and all these awful things, it's like take a second and like let's drink a beer together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Drink our way out of this."
Your wife's on your shoulder going, "Don't talk about politics." True story.
Yes, for sure.
Excellent. Earlier on, you had said, you were into sports a lot.
Yes.
You were a pretty good athlete back in the day.
I mean, I think hindsight for most athletes is they were, a big stud. I think I was probably pretty average, but I played every sport. I played football, baseball, hockey.
All through high school.
All through up until my senior year. We had some coaching staff changes, and there was a lot of attrition, specifically with hockey. Baseball, I didn't make the cut. My senior year, we had I think they were the division champs that year.
Wow.
A couple kids went on to play in the majors.
Wow.
So I wasn't that good, but a lot of the kids I played ball with were, so.
Excellent. Are you able to use what you've learned in the sporting world towards your music endeavors?
I think so. I mean, I played, as you could probably tell by looking at me, but when I played football, I was offense and defensive line. Usually a pretty thankless position, but you still have to do it.
Right.
The ball doesn't move, the game doesn't move without the guys that are in the trenches. So there's a lot of work that's required that isn't sexy work. It isn't the work that you might want to do or that you're comfortable doing, but you don't get to do the sexy fun stuff if the foundation isn't laid. So I think there's definitely a correlation, or there's for sure a relationship between the two, because you have to, the late night practices, the cuts, the scrapes, the torn, ligaments, tendons, broken, whatever, fingers, hands, bones. That's pretty much what you're going to get when you're not playing the sport anymore if you want to be successful. So,
Right.
So yeah, I think it runs kind of tandem.
Am I correct in saying the fun part of what you do is the actual playing?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think, well, they may, but a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into what you have to do. Just for an hour set,
Yeah.
it takes you an hour to get there, half hour to set up, you do the hour set and all that. So an hour turns into 4,
Yeah.
maybe 5 hours.
It can be a full
And it's a
day's
lot
work.
of thankless work, and then
Yeah.
you get to do what you love. But when you're up there, how does it feel?
It's I'd say there's like two ways to feel. One is when the room is into it and people are digging it. It's, I don't know if I'd say euphoric, but you just feel like you're in the right place. You feel like you're supposed to be there at that moment. And there are times, and I might be weird in saying this, but there are times where, especially at like restaurant or bar gigs, where people don't even know you're there, or could care less that you're there. And so there's a certain enjoyment in, if you have the ability to internalize that and say, hey, no one cares about me right now. This is just for me. And if you don't get upset about that and you're not bent out of shape about not being the center of attention, at least for me, I sort of channel that into like, hey, this is me time. This is sort of like therapy. I can play any version of this song that I want to right now, and it's a freebie. I can do whatever I want.
You can make up all the words and no one knows
Yeah,
the difference.
and you might catch one person here or one person there. They're like, hey, that's not the song, but I see what you did there, and it's just make it fun. And it's
So you almost feel like background, like the radio's on in the background for a lot of these places.
I mean, so I take a different approach. If you want to be, in my opinion, if in the restaurant and bar scene, if you want to be successful, that really should be your target. You want people to be comfortable. You want people to be able to carry a conversation, drink their drink, eat their dinner, and not have to cover their ears, not have to raise their voices. So that's kind of the target. But when people pick their head up and they recognize, you're like, wow, this I'm going to take a second. I don't need to drink this beer right now or this, this Cosmo, whatever. I want to hear what this guy's doing.
Yeah.
And that's, that moment is cool.
Yeah. So the restaurant could be packed, and all it takes is that one special person in there.
Yeah.
You don't know who that person is. You don't know who that person knows, and that could be your key to the door.
Yeah.
So basically, what we're saying is you got to play every show like everyone's into it.
Yeah, you gotta do it like you mean it. That's probably, some version of that statement will be a song title very shortly. But yeah, you gotta play it like you mean it. You gotta, not necessarily to say no days off, but no plays off for that matter. You can't take a break. You gotta do it justice and do it the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah. So you're used to playing more intimate settings. Do you think you would like the intimate type setting more, or more of the masses? Because when you're playing intimately, you're like from me to you, away from these people, and you can, feel their breath. You can smell their beer, everything, and you're like part of them, and you can hear them singing your words. That alone must be an adrenaline rush.
It's there've been a few instances where I've played in rooms where it's I am the center of attention. We're playing. I got up at Loretta's with my friend Chris, who's a Nashville guy. And did a couple songs with them, and just being this close to a packed room, and all these college kids screaming the lyrics, not of my music obviously, but screaming the lyrics that you're singing, and so yeah, it's definitely a cool feeling to be like up close and intimate, but I'd be lying if I said I haven't considered what it might be like to be on a for real stage in a arena or stadium.
And obviously, stage fright isn't a concern of yours?
So oddly enough, it's more of a concern at smaller venues than it is for larger venues. No. I don't know why, but large crowd doesn't take me off my game the way a small crowd does.
Wow, that's interesting.
So, so maybe I should play larger crowds only from now on.
There you go.
30,000 plus period.
Garth Brooks,
forever.
You hear that? So we had a couple of beer drinking songs,
Yes.
or alcohol related songs. All your songs can't be about partying and
No.
beer drinking.
No, sir.
No. So what I'm trying to lead into is, do you have a song that you can play us that comes more from the heart?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. The song is, it's actually really near and dear to my heart. Just recently in November, right before Thanksgiving, we almost lost my dad. And thankfully he's doing okay now. He's recovering, but he's recovered well so far. And, pretty healthy guy. Just things can change in an instant. And it pushed me down an avenue of, thinking about what it's like to watch somebody that you care a lot about go through a really hard time. We've dealt with loss. We've lost our grandparents. We've lost relatives. But it was very different with my dad. So just it put me in a place where it made me get really sort of introspective and think about that in terms of writing a song.
Yeah.
And,
well, best wishes, well wishes to your dad.
Yeah, knock on wood,
And that song is called Last November.
Yes.
Let's hear Last November with Justin Federico.
Hey, mama, we just gotta make it through November. I don't know if we can. Hey, mama, yeah, I can still remember the way things were back then. I know it's tough, he ain't giving up. I know we hate sad endings, but there's nothing I can do. They never tell you the more you love, the more you stand to lose. No, I'm not ready. You know I never will be. A world with you not in it ain't a world I wanna see. Hey, mama, I'm just going through the motions. I'm not sleeping that well. These last couple days have been real tough. We're all going through hell. Yeah, I know we hate sad endings, but there's nothing I can do. They never tell you the more you love, the more you stand to lose. No, I'm not ready, and you know I never will be. A world with you not in it ain't a world I wanna see. Hey, mama, don't you worry about me, 'cause you know I'll be just fine. Sometimes things get heavy, you're always on my mind.
All right, Justin. I could see you getting a little emotional during that song. And I can see why. You had told us before you played that it was about your dad.
Yeah.
And how near and dear to your heart that is. So that was the inspiration to that song. How was it writing about a real life situation that is so close to your heart?
It's interesting when you look at, when you sit down and write. A lot of times, if you write a lot, it's not when you're in the heat of things. It's, hey, we're gonna sit down on Tuesday and we're gonna see what comes out, and here's the idea. We'll storyboard this, and we'll write about the dogs today. We'll write about a good friend, or but when you're spending hours in the hospital, it hits different when you're writing about it so immediately after or during what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't, if I'm being totally honest, it didn't strike me. It didn't hit me until we were cutting final vocals in the studio. And I had to take some time. I had to take a moment to sort of collect myself before I could finish. Because it did. It's like it's getting punched in the chest. Right. It's deeply personal.
Yeah. Well, you could tell when you were, performing it for us, your emotions, and I could feel your emotions through it. And I'm not even the one that went through the situation, so I'm glad your dad is on a better road, and we wish him
thank you. Yes.
luck with that. And when he heard the song, were there tears flowing everywhere?
So, my dad. It's kind of funny. My dad, my grandfather, but my grandfather was a stoic kind of guy. Didn't let you know when he was going through pain, especially close to the end. And my dad's the same way. I can honestly say I don't think I've ever seen my dad cry. And I'm sort of the same way. I really, you can probably feel that I'm I'm like towing the line here, but there's not a lot of things that really make me like uneasy or upset, and I try to be somewhat of a stoic myself, where like we'll figure it out, we'll get through it. Like, don't worry, worry doesn't solve problems, and so I purposely didn't show my dad in person. I sent it to my stepmother and said, "Hey, I did a couple of songs this week. I want to see what your thoughts are." And I sent the 3 over to them, and she said, "Hey, that last song, it kind of sounds like you wrote it about your dad." And I said, "Well, you might be on to something there. That might be what the song is about."
Yeah.
And so they, from what she told me, they were, it took them back a little bit.
Yeah, I can see how.
But
I can see how. Wow, this has been wonderful. I mean, we've had ups and downs. We've heard some great stories. Our listeners, your website comes out soon,
yes,
and that's going to be justinfedericomusic.com?
I believe, Johnny, you better have locked it down. I believe that we locked down justinfederico.com.
Okay.
So I should be the sole owner of that.
Okay.
Hopefully nobody sees this and goes out and pulls the rug out from underneath our feet. In which case it will then be justinfedericomusic.com. But yeah, Justin
I'm going to go buy both right now.
Yeah. GoDaddy.com. Yeah. But yes, everything, I'm searchable everywhere as Justin Federico Music.
Yeah,
And,
Instagram, Facebook.
Yes.
You're thinking about TikTok. I don't know. I don't blame you for hanging back for a little while, see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I've got some stuff that I can put on there immediately,
Yeah.
and it would make sense, so we may. But yeah,
people are going to be
I'm
able
out
to
there.
download your music,
Yes, we will be on Spotify.
buy some swag.
That's right.
That's good stuff. So support all your local musicians. Justin Federico, it's been awesome having you in today. We like to think that our guests come in as an acquaintance, which you were. We had some mutual friends, and leave as a friend. And as my partner Mark usually says, thank you for being our friend. So thanks for coming in and being our friend.
Thank you so much for having
Justin
me.
Federico.